Hey, welcome to Politics and Wellness. I am captivating Christian. I guess I can take these off. And welcome to Politics and Wellness. Of course, I am the host, and you guys today are my co-hosts. Welcome to the people in the chat. Nice to see you. Sorry, I didn't press it. Hey, Patty Duke. Hey, this beach is better. What's going on? Welcome. Wow, where to begin? There's so much going on right now. It's a whole lot, but we're here to talk about it all. So let's just get started. Hope everybody is having a great start to their week. Good afternoon, Brother Nate. It's always nice to see you. If everybody got their brown on deck or some sort of beverage that you like to sip on as we talk about this stuff, this is usually the kind of the gloves is off political segment of the night. And in my wellness, of course, you guys and this helps with the wellness. But other than that, again, I hope everybody's had a great start to their week. Yes, the brown is on deck, so let's get started. All right, so first, let's get into this 2020 rundown of the election. The election is fast approaching. We are less than 50 days. We're actually at 48 days. We'll soon to be 47 days and counting in a couple of hours. So how are you all feeling about this upcoming election? Are you worried? Have you already applied for your absentee or mail-in ballots, which are pretty much the same thing? If not, do you plan on doing that? Do you plan on voting early? I plan on voting early. I also, hope that people actually come out to the polls and vote and not just sit this one out because it's far too important. As more stuff comes out about in the Dionne Warwick smoky voice, as more stuff comes out about this president and what he said behind closed doors with Bob Woodward, how does it make you feel? That is my question to you all. And, you can drop down and leave your comments, or if you feel like coming on, I will drop that as well. You don't have to show your face, just be respectful. That's kind of sort of all I ask. But just really want to know your thoughts on everything so far. So from everything we have learned about this particular president and the things he's done. Hey, Auntie Donna, how you doing? Welcome. And everything that he's done up until this point, has your thoughts about him changed? Have they become a little different? Have you agreed with him on some things, disagreed on others? Like, where is everybody feeling? That's what I'm trying to get at, because I think it's important. So while it's just a few of you, let's see. Hey, Auntie Don, it's always great to see you. It's my auntie in my head. I'm ready, but I'm really nervous too. Yeah, I can agree with that. I am really ready for this to be over and done with, but I'm really nervous. Just for the simple fact that with this whole him just going back telling people, it's okay to defend voting and go to the polling places and, watch out for people voting twice. How could you do that? You know what I'm saying? How could you do that without being disruptive? It is very organized. Whatever polling place you go to, they make sure of it, by asking the questions you ask, you show photo ID. They check all that before they are giving you a ballot. So to really just make it seem like, you go there, they don't know nothing about you, is really absurd. And I'm really afraid of the violence that might ensue because of this rhetoric, which that part makes me nervous. However, I am not afraid to take a stand and let my voice be counted. Again, like I always say, I think about the people before me. If I'm worried and fearful of this, imagine what they were fearful and worried about in losing their lives just to cast a ballot. So No, I think I'm just going to vote early. I've always voted early. That's just been a thing of mine to kind of avoid the crowd or the um, lines, with everybody trying to vote all at one time. And being that this pandemic is going on, I definitely feel like that voting early would probably be it. Mail-in voting is cool too. I think that if you are doing a mail-in vote or absentee ballot, that you definitely want to drop it off at a designated drop box. You can find those by looking up your local Republican or Democratic office, and they will be sure to instruct you where the local drop-off boxes would be in your area if you don't feel comfortable dropping it in the postal service. You know, Postmaster General DeJoy has done his job of helping Trump, kind of maintain power by disrupting the post office. I really don't know what else to say. I mean, it's plainly obvious this man cheated the first time. It is plainly obvious to the rest of the world that he will do anything to cheat again because he got away with it. He's never been charged, never been held accountable. So at this point, it's our time to hold him accountable. Hey, what's going on? How you doing, Ms. Hawkins? Nice to see you. Thanks for stopping in. It is our time to hold him accountable for cheating, for misgivings, for lying to the American people about the coronavirus and knowing how serious it was and not taking it seriously, let alone at this point, really not even caring about the struggles of Black people and all that they've gone through, feeling that it's not your responsibility nor your plight. Now, he's not the only one that feels that way. Of course, I'm sure many of white Americans feel that way, that, oh, it's not our fault that, you've been dealt this kind of hand in life. It's not my fault. However, you've also benefited from those cards. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't ever turn down the fact that you've benefited handsomely from those cards. And him of all people, I mean, let's not, even of those of us who don't know, let me clue you in that him and his father both were sued by the government for discrimination to people when they did actually own rental real estate property for not renting to people of color. And they would put a C on their applications, letting the people who processed the paperwork know that they were people of color and not to accept their application. So they got sued for it and they settled. The only reason the stipulation, to their settlement was that they could say that there was no evidence of wrongdoing. But they were found that they were guilty, but they pleaded out with a deal. And the deal was that publicly, the plaintiffs could not say that, yes, they discriminated against us because of our color and XYZ. And it couldn't be printed that they did, in fact, discriminate against people of color. So they kind of got away with it secretly. But of course, the story went on so long and it was quite a big thing that they kind of couldn't get away with it and shake it off too much. So to him not to care about the social economic issues of Black Americans is not surprising to me. However, it is when you do have Black Republicans, which again, I'm not saying that there's nothing wrong with that. We know both parties have kind of, on one hand, for those of us who support them, kind of used us when they could, when it was beneficial for them. So I'm not here saying that, one party is totally better than the other. They all have shortcomings. However, at this climate and at this time, it is very clear what side is for you, the other side which don't really see it for you, and the elements in that other party that are white nationalistic and Nazism and all of those things. So, hey, Miss T Velocity, how you doing? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Always nice to see you, as always. But at this point, we know what it is. Even in the police force, I did a story this afternoon on that, how former neo-Nazi who actually was an inspiration to the movie American History X had talked about how the neo-Nazis and the skinheads of the 80s and 90s have now, they've been told to grow their hair and kind of get into law enforcement or anything involving the law enforcement department to better ensure their power, definitely over people of color, by being law enforcement. And then you look at the situations and things around and you kind of go, well, I mean, that makes sense with all the police killings of unarmed Black men and women, the unexplained deaths that go without notice or without consequence, murders, disappearances, hangings, of that nature, all those things that go without consequence. We kind of wonder, why is this? And when you get down to it, of course, we know, well, some of us should know the history of the police department. In its birth, they were slave catchers, and they were people who actually went around catching slaves that were runaways for other plantation owners, and also even just kidnapping free Black people and putting them in slavery for some kind of reward. So that's how the birth of the police department actually came about. So here we are in the year 2020, and still these things are happening, which definitely cause pause for anybody. You look at it as someone either not in law enforcement or people that are in law enforcement and try to say, well, we're all not bad. But that's not the case. Of course, we know every person on the other side of the fence, be them Republican or Democrat, be them Black or white, are not all bad. But when you don't stand up against something, when you're in a system that every day that you go into that job, that there are certain things that you necessarily wouldn't agree with, but you go along to not cause any waves at your job. That's a problem. That's a problem, and that's a part of a system to where in which it makes the people who you think you may have a little power in your job, and you really come to find out you don't really have as much power as you thought you did. Is the StreamYard acting up? Oh, sorry about that. Oh, okay. I'm sorry if it's acting up. I don't really see anything. Let me check. Give me 1 second. Did I just black out? That's crazy. Okay. Hold on. I don't think this is it. Hey, when it does this. No, this ain't it. It ain't this one. This ain't it. It ain't this one. Oh, okay. There we go. Okay, is that better? I don't know what's going on with this thing. Okay, just let me know. Put a one in the chat if I'm okay, if you see me and everything's good and we can continue on, because I'm not sure what was going on. I was totally like not in the loop. So I want to make sure I have everybody, that we're all good. Can everybody see me? Can everybody hear me? Okay. Thank you. All right, cool. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just find it to be a bit disturbing. I mean, even moving forward to now, we have some good news, partially, for the family of Breonna Taylor. They have settled out of court for $12 million. And with that, hopefully, comes some sort of justice. But at the end of the day, we don't know what the stipulations to the agreement are. Will those police officers who killed Breonna Taylor be charged, or will they be able to keep their jobs? And the one that was fired, will he be able to get rehired somewhere else? Those are the type of things we don't know. And then it's like, oh, okay, so it took you almost 200 and some odd days to come up with a settlement. So it's $12 million, excuse me, all and unarmed, had nothing to do with anything involving that nature. Is that all it's worth? That part is where I want the answers. I want to know if those police officers will get charged and face punishment for their crime, or will they just be able to just get, uh, you know, nothing to see here, and everybody mosey on about their business. So that's where my curiosity lies, because I just think it's a bit ridiculous that the officers involved hadn't received any kind of retribution or justice for what had happened. The only thing that they're pushing for, as far as the family is concerned, is in this. I think they mentioned that there's going to be some kind of reform, but yeah, there's always reform at the cause of death of another human being. But how many reforms do we need till something actually changes? Because reforms are just temporary kind of band-aids on a situation. As you can tell, we just had a reform when George Floyd was murdered by police. And this had happened, if I'm not mistaken, Breonna Taylor happened before George Floyd. So, um, are we just going to keep passing reforms around every time someone happens to lose their life? And then what happens to the boyfriend also? Breonna's family was not the only family that suffered at the hands of these gangsters. Pretty much, these gangsters also disrupted the life of her boyfriend, who in fact was in the house with her, or in the apartment with her, at the time of this event taking place. And not only did he try to defend Breonna as well as himself, he was actually put in jail for at least a few weeks before he was released. So, I'm trying to figure out, money, the amount of money will never replace Breonna Taylor to her family or anybody else that's been close to her, that whom life she has touched. So I don't know why that. I don't even know why that is. I don't even know where that amount of money comes from. I don't know why it even took so long to even come to that conclusion. If you messed up, you messed up, and you should have been willing to pay head on right then and there. The fact that it went to almost, was it again, but almost 200 days? It just don't make no sense to me. It really does not make sense. I I feel for the family, and I think this is something that will help them, of course. But I mean, at the end of the day, by the time you pay the lawyers their bit, and anybody else, any other outstanding debts, taxes, anything else, what would you have left? And then for the rest of your life, your children's life, grandchildren, if you have them, um, it's for something that is so traumatic that could have changed or has changed their lives forever. How do you put a price tag on that? I don't know. I don't know. I really don't know. Don't give me the lion, but I just don't. It just don't make sense to me. And I'll someday maybe I'll figure it out, or it'll go aha, and like a light bulb, it'll click off in my head. But it's a lot. It's a lot more to it than just $1,200. There's a whole system of these gangs of police officers, just like, and I'll briefly talk about this, the Los Angeles police officers, who at first, when they were gunned down execution style, while they were sitting in their patrol cars, everybody screaming about, oh, justice for the police. This is why we say Blue Lives Matter. Da, 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 da. See what they did. See these animals and what they did. And then come to find out, these police officers, okay, have been part of a gang that has been basically causing havoc with local gangs in the area, which they police, putting drugs on perpetrators, giving them longer sentences and things of that nature. And that shooting happened to be in retaliation of some sort of stop on a bike that went completely wrong, and the person was shot and killed. So, it's almost like we got to know everything instead of just knowing some things and then running with conclusions. And especially at this time, with all of this tension between law enforcement and everyday citizens, and especially citizens of color, that it has become this them against us. And anytime there's something against them, it's always, oh, Blue Lives Matter. See, this is why Blue Lives Matter. Da, 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 da. They're killing the police. They're killing the police. But come to find out, these police has been dealing in a gang of drugs and everything else. But nobody seems to be talking about that. And that seems not to be important, because what we want to talk about is Blue Lives Matter. We don't want to talk about these actual gang and thugs of police officers have been dibbling and dabbling in drug connections and things of that nature, and utilizing the community that they're supposed to protect and serve, and actually, making them do the dirty work, which is what I've been saying for the longest, that I felt it and I know it to be true, that there are police, just like, in the movies and in the shows that we all watch, where there's dirty cops who make, the local street thugs and stuff actually do things in order to keep themselves out of jail. They'll do these things to keep themselves out of jail, or if there's something pending on them that they know if they get busted for, that's it, they're going to jail for a long time. The police utilizes those types of people to have them do certain things. So that's why when you hear about these shootings in Chicago over the weekend, and you just like, that's so random. Why would you have all these shootings just on one weekend in Chicago, and then nobody really knows what it's for, why it happened, or anything of that nature? Sometimes this is exactly what it's giving. There's a whole system at hand working here. There's a whole gang-related situations of thugs, and they don't happen to be the people on the street. They happen to be the people in blue that we so proudly, stand up for. And that's funny that nobody's on the picket lines talking about Blue Lives Matter for these cops anymore. At first, they were. Trump was tweeting away. We need to get these animals. We're gonna get these criminals. We're gonna be law and order. Then that came out, and it's like, oh, quiet. Are we quiet? Are we quiet? So that's why I say that is the reason why we need to cut and defund the police, because the police, the department itself, along with the police unions, have gotten so big and so powerful that they actually run many of the cities. The mayors don't run the cities anymore. It's the police department. So much so, here we go again with another story, the one in upstate New York, where the gentleman was naked, had his hands up while he was kneeling, and he said he had COVID. And because he was spitting on them, they put that black hood over his head and began to, hold him down against the pavement, so much so that they strangled him. I mean, and then the police chief, regardless of the fact that he's black, because let's be very clear, a lot of us want to be simulated, excuse me, I said stimulated, but simulated into this culture, because a lot of us have been brainwashed that their culture is better, and that their culture means that you have graduated, you have reached a level of excellence if you are accepted amongst the others, and that's systematic, that's mental. It's the same with the brown, I think it was the brown and the white test that they were doing with the baby dolls, and they would ask the little kids, like, what doll do you think is bad? And they would always point to the brown doll. And why you think the brown doll is bad? Because it's bad, because it's black, because it looks bad. And do you think and what about the white doll? It's nice, it's this, it's that. Because that's a system that you've made people think that their own skin is demeaning, their own skin is reckless and evil. However, but your skin means that you are better, you are pure, you are, all of these things, so on and so forth. So I say all that to say, that we need not to be fooled that just because there is a police chief and he happens to be a person of color, and you think, okay, well, why would he cover up a crime like that and keep it moving? Because at the end of the day, he knew what he had to do to get there, and he was fine with doing it. And if that meant arresting some people of color, so the higher ups could feel like, you're not one of them per se, they don't have to look out for you and watch their back around you, that you actually are down for the cause, then they'll elevate you as much as because at the end of the day, it makes them look good too, because they don't look like the races that we know them to be. They look inclusive. So as much as, you call yourself using them, they're using you. And when they use you, they get more praise from using you than you do of them. Hey, welcome everybody who just came into the room. Not to be rude, but I just start, going off at the mouth. And so for those of you who just come in, thank you. Welcome. Please join in the conversation. Feel free. But like I said, it's a disgusting system of, right, like you said, this beach is better, organized crime to the fullest, and there's nothing more to say. There's nothing more to say. It needs to be done away with. They need to create a new system, and again, if that means a lot of people need to be uprooted, so be it. Do I think we can have a society with no police? No, not at all. But there needs to be something that is done differently. Obviously, the way that things have not worked for a large amount of people. So there needs to be something done to change that. And if not, then don't be alarmed when other things happen. Just like this situation and all of this unrest, even with Trump supporters showing up to the rallies, showing up to Black Lives Matter protests armed with guns, and how the police are so, calmly chill back as these white men and women show up with their guns and wave it in people's faces like it's nothing. But here you have people of color peacefully protesting. You don't see a firearm nowhere, but here comes the tanks, here comes the tear gas, here comes all of these things, as if you're trying to combat an evil on this end and, something different on the other. It's just ridiculous at this point, and it's, kind of full of shit, but it is what it is. But yeah, what else did I have to say about that? But yeah, that's all I have to say about that. I just can't. I can't. I don't even feel like going back and forth with it. It is what it is. It's plainly obvious that they don't see it for us. They never really have. And the few they have seen it for, the few that they have seen it for, it's just been a reason why they have seen it. Now, we all know that affirmative action is alive and well, although affirmative action does not necessarily help us, because it was formulated to help women, white women to be exact. Affirmative action does, though, give them the cushion to always place someone of color in a position of power to show, hey, look, see, we're inclusive, and it could just be a one-person deal, but that one person, 9 times out of 10, is that affirmative action, go-getter. Even though they may be very decorated, even though, they may be highly qualified and classified to be in the position, if you look around the boardroom and you're the only person, you might want to second guess yourself, because you may be talented, and you may be, smart as a whip and able to do your job, but I am sure there are other brothers and sisters who are just as talented and just as smart to do the job that you are doing. So don't get too proudful of your position. Know that sometimes it's just because they needed a seat filler, and you happen to be that seat filler. Now, if you use that seat and you make it beneficial, and you bring people along with you and train them or what have you, then you utilize it. That's great. But a lot of us, sometimes we get in a seat and we just figure, well, I got here, you need to figure out how to get here. And that's really not the greatest attitude anyone should have in positions like that. You should always want to help others get to where you are and better. Just because people may start off, somewhere, or like with YouTube, not that many views, not that many viewers, but that don't mean they're going to be there forever. And just because you don't see it for them does not mean that other people don't see the possibilities in them that you don't see, and, it is what it is. But yeah. So with that, I think the next one was Andrew Gillum. All right. So briefly, I talked about Andrew Gillum this afternoon, and because I think it's important that we don't always tear each other down so much. Like, it's hard enough. We are hard on ourselves. Like, a lot of people who are in public situations, or especially politics and other things of that nature, they're hard on themselves because they're always viewing themselves, because you are concerned about what you're projecting onto other people, because it could be a good thing, it could be a bad thing. So you're kind of always focused on your projection, and you want to make sure that it reaches as possible. So I can imagine that this man is hard on himself for what he's done, that he doesn't need any more, beat downs or kind of criticism, ridicule and stuff like that from anybody else. However, with that, we do got to talk about it. I mean, it really doesn't matter who he slept with. He could have slept with anybody, and it probably would have been a thing because of the position he was running for, and how close it really was. I mean, when it comes down to it, this gubernatorial race was pretty close. Uh, you know, a lot of the Republicans in Florida seen and knew that many of the Floridians in Miami-Dade County and other counties were really going to show up for Gillum. I believe they always had this kind of ace in the hole in their back pocket that they knew something about his sexuality or his sexual prowess, and they were going to exploit it at some point. But because Gillum did not go there with DeSantis, they held back for some reason. But I'm sure that people still kept an eye on Andrew and felt like, okay, he may not have won governor, but we can push him to governor. How about Senate, or how about, a cabinet seat for the next presidential nominee? And they wanted to squash that as quick as possible. So, of course, this whole thing was orchestrated. And again, not saying that he didn't play his part, because he did, but it is a lot more to it. Definitely a lot more to it. I think now, I watched the interview, and there's a few questions I have. Do I think that she knew that of his bisexuality? Possibly. But again, here we go dealing with things that are very taboo in especially Black culture. We don't like to talk about people having bisexual interests, whether it be male or female. Especially being married, it is this whole thing of, a man and a woman and nothing else, and it shouldn't be nothing else. And, we have to kind of step back a little bit out of that. And not saying that you have to agree with polygamy or anything of that nature. But one thing that we do have to understand and be very clear on is that the practices in which we practice, as far as marriage, the one woman, man, picket fence, all that kind of stuff, it's not ours. It's not ours. That's definitely something that we have picked up kind of from, the others, to show us, hey, this is the picture, or the kind of puzzle to family success. Family success is this: the husband works, the wife is home, you have kids, and this, that, and the other, and so on and so forth, and you have this great loving family. Now, not everybody's family looks like that. And we have to be very clear about that. And it doesn't mean that God does not love them any less, because then we don't know God, and we don't know God's thoughts, because it says clearly that our thoughts are not God's thoughts. So if our thoughts are not God's thoughts, then we should not be trying to act as if we know what God was thinking. Yes, we do have this thing called the Bible, and the Bible is a form of reference to the thoughts, I guess, and actions of God, right? Okay. But with any guidebook or instructional manual, you still have to do the work. You kind of got to put screw A into screw B, and if it fits. Now, sometimes, even when you get the instructions and you have the pieces in front of you, you may put screw A into hole B and find out that hole B and screw A fit. And why wouldn't they fit? Because they don't. Either they screwed that hole too small and it doesn't fit the screw A. So you're like, oh, this is crazy. And that makes it defective, right? So we do have to understand that that book that we seem to use so heavily has been written and rewritten to fit a narrative for certain people. Again, if we want to just take it to its earliest in dealing with us when we were brought here to this country, they only use the parts that suited slavery. So, master, slaves, obey your masters, and your days will be long upon the earth. And do your master's bidding now, because in heaven you will have this grand old uh, great time, and you can rest by the riverside and enjoy your labor when you go over, when you cross over. But for right now, pay attention to your master. So yeah, we have to definitely know that the system has definitely been created for a reason. And we just have to be mindful, kind of have a critical thinking eye when we are looking at these type of situations. And yeah, you can believe what you want to believe, but as many have said, kind of know the context, go a little deeper, and really get to the essence of what it is that it's saying. Because we can all sit in a service and listen to someone tell us what it's saying and then believe it to be so, but it's a whole nother thing. The knowledge comes with the power and vice versa. So knowing for yourself, not from someone telling you, but knowing deeply for yourself how it is definitely a lot greater than that. Yeah, so I mean, that's just how I feel about that. I wish the brother well. I do hope he gets back into politics, and I hope they work their family situation out, even if that happens to be them not being together, her going her way and him going his, and living in his truth. And whatever his truth is, we just need to support it. I really don't get how we are so hard on just accepting what may be with people that we have no connection to, that we owe nothing to, but we have this thing almost as if they're a part of our family, and they will cut off our bloodline if we don't, if we accept who they are. We have to learn to accept individuals and people who they are and how they are. It doesn't mean that, again, we have to be sitting here and, I got to agree with everything you do. No, we can agree to disagree, but you still have to respect that person. You still have to be concerned about that person, because when you see that person, you should see yourself. And if you don't want anybody to treat you a certain way, regardless of who you believe and who you love, then you should not want that for the next person that looks like you. I just find that to be a bit much, that we are so hard on each other when it comes to stuff like that. And then it creates a system where in which we have an Andrew Gillum kind of situation, to where in which he may in fact have always had affections for the same sex, but because he knew that going into politics, being a black man, all these things, he could not be himself, that he had to have a wife, that he had to have children, even if he deep down inside may not have wanted that for his life. Maybe he wanted to be with whomever. But the fact that he had to do it to not only feel secure or have some security within himself, but to have some security within his family unit, within his voting unit, because they would not dare see it for that kind of candidate. They wouldn't dare see it. And we really need to grow, not only socially but politically in that realm, to where in which we are not just looking at who someone is sleeping with, like that has anything to do with the policies that they may enact, that has anything to do with the what economic resources they can bring into our communities, that has nothing to do with protecting us against police brutality by some kind of reform in the police department. or that has anything to do with stopping this mass incarceration of still slavery that is still going on, even if they say that he's changed the justice system, which is a lie. He has not. They still have a quota. Even in coronavirus, they are still incarcerating more people of color than they are of white people. And they are letting a lot of his friends go on house arrest and things of that nature. Because then my question is, after all this is over, are you going to send them back to jail, or will they be in house arrest and then pretty much their sentence will be over? Like Michael Cohen, he's only supposed to be in there for 3 years, and I think that was max. So he's already spent like a year and a half. And he's at home right now talking about his book on every network that will have him. So I don't know. I just find it to be a bit much. But I'm done. I'm not done, but I'll stop for a moment. So any questions anybody has? Is there anything that anybody have seen that they want to talk about? Because I do watch a lot of news, but I don't catch everything. So, hey, Chocolate Scorpion, how are you? Tune from New York, how you doing? Nicole Goddess, hey, what's going on? First Lady, welcome. It was nice to see you. Please, guys, please make sure that you hit those thumbs up button. Please, even if you just pop in and say hey and go about your business or listen to another content creator, it's fine. Just please make sure that you always hit that thumbs up button because it helps me out. And, thank you. I appreciate you. But I don't really have anything else left on that. So that's that. And, like I said, I hope the best for their situation and, moving forward. So what else is going on? So is anybody here from South Carolina? Yes, no, maybe so, or anything close by? Because I just want to know, I'm curious to know how this Lindsey Graham thing is shaping. Because I personally think that people are really going to turn out for Jamie Harrison. If you don't know who Jamie Harrison is, check him out. Jamie Harrison is running for Lindsey Graham, otherwise known as AKA Lady G, his Senate spot. And being that, Donald Trump has not been the best candidate as of late, dealing with coronavirus, immigrants, his racial appetite for his own people, even with it's on the tip of my tongue, the 1619 Project, which basically was a Pulitzer Prize winning program that basically that teaches history from the start of the first, slave entering in the Americas, and talks about the contributions that Black Americans have made in this country. That, of course, Donald Trump said, well, if you're teaching it, he's not going to fund the schools that choose to teach that curriculum. But always, and no surprise, he always seems to threaten people with money. He's a person of habit. Of course, his father has threatened their family with money as well, or taking money or not giving money to them, leaving it in the will, so on and so forth, if they did not conform to his wants and needs. In Mary Trump's book, his niece's book, she talks about her father and how her father wanted to be a pilot. He yearned to be a pilot, so much so that he actually joined the Air Force. And the father was so disgusted that he literally kind of disowned him. And her father, Mary Trump's father, lived the rest of his life trying to make his father happy so much so that he wound up being addicted to alcohol and dying from alcoholism. So, there's a system of people that want to keep things a certain way, and we have to be mindful of that. So, I don't know. There's just, I know I get tired of it. You do get tired of it. You do get tired of watching it. And sometimes when the set powers on YouTube don't allow certain things to get uploaded, it kind of gives me a break. But at the same time, I'm still angry because all these things are still happening. And sometimes even the news not talking about it till the next day. And you're just like, okay, but this happened 2 days ago at this point. So the damage has already been done. The people who have been affected by it has already been affected. And now learning about it, sometimes we're even late on learning about it and the damage has already been done. So I don't know. I think we need to just be mindful. We need to know that things are happening. We need to educate ourselves. We need to guard ourselves. We need to equip ourselves. And if that means getting a gun license, then so be it. Because we can't just sit back and just allow them to kind of dictate to us how we're supposed to be governed. I think we give them too much power when we did that. Did I happen to catch the article on the immigrants? Yeah. I did. How you doing, NQ's World? How you doing? Nice to see you. Yes, I did happen to skim through that article real quick. So what Brother Nate is talking about is actually in Texas, I believe. The immigrant women that they were rounding up from crossing the border, they were actually giving them hysterectomies without their consent. And that came from a whistleblower. Now, what a whistleblower is basically someone who snitches, who's involved in a situation, and they snitch to the highest person in power. Usually this is someone like in Congress, pretty much. And then they are protected under what is known as the whistleblower laws, which, their identity is concealed and so on and so forth. However, in true Trump fashion, he tries to uncover who the whistleblower is, not for any reason, only to then let the public know who the person is. So then, people who are, for the president can then, try and go and attack that person who's been discovered. Same thing like the Alexander Vindman kind of situation, how it was like once he got discovered, then it was, okay, let's attack him. Let's make sure he doesn't get promoted in the army. So much so that the people who in the army who looked out for him told him, hey, you know what? It's best you resign because they're going to make this worse for you. So in order to keep your benefits and everything that you have obtained thus far, you might want to just resign. But yeah, it's pretty disgusting that they have been giving these women hysterectomies. But again, this brings to light the Roe versus Wade argument when we thinking, oh, it's just about telling women that they cannot, that they can choose abortion if it was their choice to do so. That no, that's off the table. You got to have this child. It's mainly for them to keep their white race. So they will make sure that white women who become pregnant by other family members due to molestation or a rape or anything of that nature, that they keep their dominance in the culture because they know that it is slipping away. Now, I'm not saying that, every white person is bad and evil. No, but there is a system. There's no denying that the system exists. I think the part in denying it is just as racist. I mean, if you could sit here and say that, this doesn't exist, or like Bill Barr would say that he doesn't think that police brutality is actually a thing, that people are kind of making it up. And it's like, okay, but every day you read a news article, or you turn on your TV, you are reading something to where in which police officers have then taken the law in their own hands, and either uh, badly brutalize someone or kill them. And then you find out, well, what happened? What was it for? A traffic stop or this or that? And it's like, okay, is that extreme? When I just seen today video footage of a traffic stop with a white individual by two police officers, and they were trying to pull him out of the car, and a scuffle, happened, and the perpetrator wind up grabbing the police officer's gun, shooting one of the police officers twice, nearly killing him, and shooting another. I mean, it's just like, and not once did they reach for their guns. Not once when they showed up to his car did they, have their guns pointed at his face and any of that. Because again, when they see other people like them, they don't see danger. They don't even think of danger. So when people say, they tell me all the time, oh, well, they're trained to kill. They're trained to kill and not ask questions. Yeah, you may be trained that way, but you make the conscious choice not to shoot someone that looks like you. You make that same conscious choice to then execute someone who does not look like you as a threat, period, point blank. End of story. It's been proven. So, you can't keep saying that, something is one way when it's constantly proven another. It just doesn't add up. I don't know how many people realize, but here in Baltimore City, do that back in the 90s and are having young girls in the city without their parent consent. Wow. No, I did not know that, but I'm sure that it is definitely a thing that is widespread, that really is ridiculous, and it needs attention. And that's why these marches and things, when people say, oh, what is this? What is all these marches and things about? They bring the attention to atrocities like this, taking the right of birth from anyone is ridiculous. I mean, that's just as bad. I mean, if we're going to sit here and talk about abortion being murder, you don't think taking the ability of a person to give birth isn't murder? I mean, I would look at it the same way. I think if you're going to take away the person's ability to give birth, you're just as much committing murder if you're going to sit there and say that abortion is murder. Now, we can get to the technical part of, well, actually, the sperm touches the egg, but if, I've never known two men to have a baby, two biological men to give birth and have a baby. So obviously you need an egg somewhere. And that's a whole nother thing about that stupid thing going around about two men giving birth to a baby through the anus. I mean, the most ridiculous, dumb, fake, stupid kind of Russian propaganda to get all these Christian folks riled up about the end of the world and the destruction of the family by showing two men giving birth to a baby through the anus. Can you say how? Like, I mean, really stupid. And the fact that people will be so dumb and retarded to actually repeat it is beyond me. It really is. Like, at some point, it's like, come on, you have a platform, and yeah, you may, have fun spewing garbage and shit all over the place, but at some point, be responsible. And I think that was just ridiculous. Like, for you to even sit there and keep that bullshit is beyond me. It's the most dumbest thing I ever heard in my life. Like, get out of here. We Scientifically, that cannot happen. And you could add a lot of things and take a lot of things from or add to your body. But one thing you definitely can't do without major problems and probably complications and death is do something like that. Because there's no way a full-grown baby is traveling through small and large intestine all the way out somebody's head. Come on. Let's be serious. Like, let's be serious.
Come on, man.
In the words of Barack Obama, okay? Because that's just dumb. And yeah, you shouldn't even be repeating that. And you just as dumb for repeating it. I think so. Placing young people, young girls. What did you say? Placing young girls in non. Yeah, it really is crazy what they're doing to young people. It really is crazy. We need to, kind of be the stewards and the guardians of our young people. And yes, I know that a lot of young people are very influenced by the music of today and the videos and all that kind of stuff. But we have to then kind of instill, like, hey, that stuff is cool, because we all remember when we were young and a certain thing maybe was a little taboo that we participated in. However, at the same time, when you teach self-worth, people can know the difference. People learn to know the difference between that is just entertainment and that is what I do to just entertain. Then this is how I carry myself. And we just need to, make sure that our young people know the difference, that life and what you see on the TV and the videos and so on and so forth is not real. Like, this is real life. This is what you can actually obtain. Those type of things that, they show you on these videos and the camera are things that, yeah, you can obtain those too, but they actually in reality take hard work and dedication. It's not, if you drop it hot, you could get, or if your stuff is wet, you can get that. It's not that easy. It's really not, because even those that sell it have to, they just don't, wham bam and it's done. There's a process. So I think we just need to make sure we instill in our young people their self-worth, and then that way they can know the difference between something that is entertaining, and yeah, you can watch it and you can even know the lyrics, but you better know the lyrics to this too. You better know you better know who you are, where you come from, all about your history. Just as much as you can repeat those lyrics, you should be able to repeat things in which you should know your laws. If you do get stopped, you should know that, you don't have to tell the police officer this, that, and the other. You can just give him or her your information and let them move forward. And, whatever they choose to do, any recourses they choose to do, you just go along with the plan, make sure you document everything as much as you can, and, call the proper people and let it be handled that way. I don't know. I just think we need to start teaching something different. We don't have to be all holier than thou. We don't have to act as if we never participated in any of these things, or never was infatuated by a particular artist, some music, or anything of that nature. A lot of times we get so enthralled in church and act like we've never been the sinner at all. And I think we need to really sometimes have a reality check and know that, hey, we've been the sinner once too. And but there's some grace that was handed to me to allow me to see the difference between the two. And we need to make sure that we hand that down to our young people. That's all. That is all I'm saying. Because a lot of times I see we get to all caught up in what it looks like and what it's portraying and the image that it's portraying, but know that it is our responsibility too to teach our young people the difference. Our young people and our old people too. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of old people walking around here that believe what they believe, and it's not necessarily true, but because they've been so brainwashed that they feel that it's right, but it doesn't serve any purpose. They do it, and what purpose does it serve? They don't get no extra benefit from it. So then you start to realize, like, okay, you doing all this and spewing all this propaganda, but at what cost? At what cost? Yeah, everybody else can be brainwashed and so on and so forth, but at what cost? You're doing just as much as the next. You look at people like Umar Johnson. He's against everything that is, everything almost like chauvinistic, everything. He's quite homophobic. He is all of these things, but calls himself a nationalist, and then asks you for your donations to help build his school. And he only wants certain people in his school to be teachers, and certain people to do this, and certain people to do that. And you're just like, well, how are you any different from the oppressor that we've been sitting here arguing about or discussing? You're no different. So then, you start to look at you with the side eye, especially when you asking for these donations for a school that you haven't done anything with. So, I mean, again, are you trying to use the person's game against your own people? Like, what is your purpose? What is your purpose? So I don't know. It just gets to be a bit unfortunate and dysfunctional at some point when a lot of people just use their platform and gifts for things that they could be using it so much greater for, but of course they get mesmerized by what it can bring, the dollars that it brings in, that that becomes more important. But then you just look like Donald Trump. You just look like the same people that you talk about. So, I mean, but with less money in your pocket. So I don't know. I really don't know. But anyway, I hope everybody's having a great night. I hope everybody enjoyed the discussion thus far. If anybody has any questions, comments, or concerns, this is your moment. You can pop it in the chat. If anybody wants to come on and say anything, you can do that real quick. Other than that, if not, we will call it, because I still have stuff to do. So, yeah. So I don't know, but hopefully everybody had a good night. This was a pretty good discussion, hopefully, even though, I appreciate you guys and your comments and your questions or anything that you had going on. That is always great to have interaction with you guys, because like I said, I don't watch everything, and some things I do miss. But I am thankful for the team I have that's always keeping my ears very pointed and listening to everything. If I miss something, or if it's something that they sure I have not talked about or that I may have missed, I am sure to get an email. I am sure to get a DM in my Instagram, and I am very thankful and grateful to you all. You guys mean a great deal, because what you do is not just for me, but it is for us all, to keep us very informed and talking about real issues and things that are going on that affect us all. And again, the laughing, the joking is always fun. It is always helpful. It helps us, step out of the element of our own lives, if not just for a moment, but at the same time, we got to be focused and know what's going on around us and know how to prepare ourselves and protect ourselves from, the opposition. So, and it don't have to be opposition from the others. It can be opposition from your own people sometimes, because, they like to keep things the way that they are. Some people are very comfortable with the status quo. A lot of people don't like change. They may not like certain things. They may not like the way a person talks or maybe the racial rhetoric of someone, but they don't mind dealing with it as long as things stay the same. So, we have to make sure we kind of root those things out and ensure people that, hey, change is good. Change is what makes um, the world, move. It makes nature grow. Change happens. That's what seasons are. And we are no different from that. We are no different from that. We are not removed from the natural process of nature, even in our thoughts and in our actions. Things have to change and grow, and sometimes things die off like people. Things die off like leaves, but anew. Every spring, once winter is gone and the trees that were once bare, they grow again, and new leaves come and people come. Processes come. People leave us, unfortunately, but however, their thoughts and memories and things they have taught us stay with us. New people come into play, in which they may play a vital role in our lives that somebody once played. So we all have to be mindful of stuff like that and not lose sight and keep the hope. And that was my wellness moment. And just, stay encouraged and know that, it's only for a moment. Things change only for a moment, but joy does come in the morning, as the song says, or joy does come. A change is coming, but it takes a while and a process. But we'll get there. Oh, Mr. C, he is doing quite well. He's been working on a few things. I don't know if you guys knew that he was in the process of moving and getting a place and doing all that. So he wanted to make sure that he was properly paying attention to all of that and getting himself settled into his new life of being a homeowner. But he should be back shortly, and when you see him, then he'll be back. But he just needed some time to kind of focus and regroup, and with all that was going on with coronavirus and everything, he just wanted to ensure that he was properly paying attention to what he needed to, and I don't blame him. We all have to kind of take a step back and be a little more focused. Because all this that can go on around us, we can lose sight and be so caught up in other things that we just want to make sure that we are staying focused. Yeah. Will do. I will do. Yeah. So he's doing grown man stuff, and as a grown man does, you gotta pay attention and do it, and make sure that what you're doing, you're able to do it, and nothing goes, unsigned or missed. So, you got to pay attention to detail. So, yeah, but he's doing great, and, keep him in your thoughts and prayers, as I'm sure you all do. But he should be kicking around here pretty soon. You said, I missed that part. I learned to adapt in the. No, all right. Everything's very important thing. Gladys or Patty. Oh, that's a good one. I did watch that the versus battle. Uh huh. I've heard a lot of Gladys Knight songs, but I've heard more Patty songs growing up than I did Gladys Knight. But I've learned them through my parents, and then one of my best friends, he grew up listening to the oldies but goodies, as people say. So he never really listened to, like, he didn't listen to growing up Big Daddy Kane and all that stuff that my oldest brother and stuff that I kind of listened to a little bit. He listened to that old stuff. So when we hung out together, it was always like listening to you know the 60s music and stuff like that. So I've grown to appreciate an appreciation for it, but I was just used to seeing Patty a lot. So, um, but I mean, they both were good. I mean, it was like, kind of watching your two aunties go back and forth. It was like watching your two aunties at a function kind of go back and forth, and you wishing the one auntie would get a little bit drunk so she could really start going crazy and spilling some stuff so you could really have a good time. But it was nice. It was nice. Yeah, it was nice. It was nice to see Dionne Warwick too. It was really nice to see Dionne Warwick. It was always great, I think, to see our older entertainers, uh, kind of give them a spotlight and a stage that they once had to kind of show that, hey, I was here before. I was here before all of you. Let me show you how to do it. So I think that was good. I liked it. I mean, she did sound like she had a few Virginia Slims, but I guess she's a smoker, but she still had a little bit in her. So, I'll go for it. Although I will say that I was just cracking up in my head as I was watching it, because I don't know if anybody used to watch the Got to Be Real. It was like a parody. Uh, the parody was called Got to Be Real. It should still be on YouTube. And there were some voiceovers of the celebrities. Like there was a voiceover for Patty. There was a voiceover for the great Aretha Franklin, and all of the current R&B artists. They have voiceovers, and that thing would crack me up. And all I could hear is the person who does Dionne Warwick's voice uh, as she was talking and singing. I just could not stop laughing. It was just so funny. But yeah, I enjoyed it. But I hope that they do a Got to Be Real parody on that, because I'm here for it. But yeah, it was nice. It really was nice. Now, who I want to see next, I don't know. I actually thought Fantasia and Jennifer Hudson were going to be next, because I think that was the rumor going around. But it was nice to see Patty and Miss Gladys, and yeah. I mean, it would have been even nice to see Aretha Franklin and Patti LaBelle do a versus, but I'm sure Miss Franklin, even from heaven, would have declined. Would have declined to participate the way she shaded her at the White House function. But yeah, I just yeah, Dion probably had a few blunts. She sounded like she was sound like they was up there. But it was, like I said, it was nice. It is always nice to pay homage to um our older celebrities, that have paved the way. Whenever I say that, I think of Jackie Washington. Ain't nobody paved the way. Ain't nobody paved the way for me. But yeah, it is definitely a good thing to uh, pay honor and respect to those that have paved the way for us. So, I think it is always great. And we should do more of that. We should do more of that. Uh, I don't know if they should do like a Harry Belafonte and I don't know, somebody. Uh, can't even think of nobody in that age range that he could go up against. But we need to do more of that, at least to bring attention to our older vets and let more young people be experienced to their music. So I think that is definitely important. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I don't think I do all the time, but I thank you. I appreciate it. When I was younger, I think I didn't smile as much. Like I don't smile in pictures. I try not to smile because it feels like my nose is like getting hugely big. But I've grown into it. But I was definitely, as a young kid, always feeling some type of way about my nose. But yeah, definitely all talent. And I think we need to it's always good to encourage even our older folks, that, thank you for paving the way and showing us a way. Somebody said Aretha was acting up in heaven, messing up with Patty. I wouldn't doubt it. Very true. I wouldn't doubt it. She kept talking about something. I need lyrics. Where's my lyrics? It was a lot of dead air, but they made it work, having the little conversations on the side. But yeah, it was a lot of dead air. It wasn't flowing so well. But they're true entertainers and true showmen, that they made it work. Even Patty kicking off her shoes and knocking herself in the knee with her own stiletto. She tried to give you what you want. She didn't have a large enough stage to roll around on the floor, but I'm sure if the stage was large enough, she would have got on that floor and did a good roll for y'all, so y'all feel better. I just thought she was gonna do one of her old Patty hairdo things and have it the whole crown thing sitting up there. I thought she was gonna do that, but no, she went with her blonde green leaf appearance wig, because that's the same wig she wore when she appeared on Greenleaf as that minister. So she gave y'all that, but it was nice. It was nice. What do you say? Yeah. The catalog is pretty large. But I don't know who would. That's what I said with a lot of these versus battles, and they talk about people's catalogs. A lot of people's catalogs aren't that extensive. Like, definitely not worth no 2-3 hours listening. Like, I wouldn't. But I want them to do like a male R&B artist too. I wonder who they would pick. I think Maxwell has an extensive group of songs. Or like a Johnny Gill and somebody else. I don't know. That would be interesting. Talking crap about Dion low key. I don't know. They might have a little bit. Because even Dion was talking crap, talking about after they had sung the song, she's like, "Can I go now?" She's like, "Can I go now and change my clothes and put my jeans back on?" Like, somebody made you change your clothes. So, I don't know. I'm sure Dion could be a little shady. She seems like a diva a little bit. Yeah. And a lot of people were saying too that Patty's songs were a lot shorter than Gladys Knight songs. And I don't know. I think because Gladys Knight was really trying to give a concert a little bit. You saw she had to stand up when she was belting out some of those notes. So I guess she was really trying to go for it, but I don't know. When they're talking about learning from the younger singers, remember Dion made a comment about Beyonce's not a legend. She did. She did indeed. But I mean, you can't. You're looking at two different two different times. What she would have, or what she would consider a legend, or the type of entertainer she would consider a legend. I'm pretty sure, Beyonce was not on her list as a legend as of yet. I'm sure she probably would consider herself a legend. Yeah, kind of breaking barriers in her own right. And maybe that's what she considers to be legendary. Someone who's actually broken a barrier, not just a barrier of, top charting music, get the word out. But someone who's actually done something, like, the first one to break through the barrier of the pop charts, or, something crazy like that. So who knows? Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? But it's interesting, and I mean, it does for good TV. I mean, for the moment she said it, the Beehive was on her, dragging her through the streets. So, I mean, I guess it worked for her. And then, people started, who is Dion? Who is Dion Warwick? And, people started listening to her music and Walk On By and all this other kind of stuff, and stuff that, other artists have remixed throughout the years and, kind of remade and shaped. They sitting back going, oh, she actually sang that song? Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, I guess it works. You said the young ones haven't put no time in. Yeah, I mean, pretty much. And then a lot of times we have to realize too, a lot of young artists did not work what was known as the Chitlin circuit back then, in which they could only perform at certain clubs, they could only stay at certain hotels. All those things, are kind of a thing of the past for these young artists now. So they don't really know the struggle of getting your stuff played on the radio and getting your stuff massively produced. Was a struggle. And not only that, then you had white artists taking your same song and, copying it and getting worldwide fame for your song and for your music. So, there's a lot of thievery going on. They don't have to look at the body of work. Yeah, no, that's absolutely true. I don't know. What else is going on in here? I think that's pretty much it. That's all I had. I didn't really have anything else. Anybody else have any questions, comments, or concerns? To do the cover song and then taking for their own. Yeah, a lot of that was happening. So, a lot of artists are very protective of their work. So. Oh yeah, by the way, I did happen to see, I know this is way off topic, but I did happen to see two movies that I saw people were talking about that have nothing really to do with politics, but I did see what was the one movie? I did see Mulan, which I mean it was okay. I mean it was okay. And I did see the movie people were talking about, Cuties, that Netflix movie. I mean, I won't watch it again. It's a foreign film, so it's kind of like, I know they don't really hold a lot of the same kind of moral blockades that we do here stateside. Overall, the movie was decent as far as the message wise, but I can see where a lot of people were kind of turned off by it. But it just reminded me of like a movie that had kids who were on the Maury show. Like, when Maury used to have those episodes where it'd be those young kids talking about something. I like to hang out with my friends and wear these clothes, and I don't care what my mom thinks. It put me in the mindset of that with the kids. But overall, the message, it was a good one. It was a good one. It was a good one. I mean, if you're curious to watch it, watch it. If not, you're not really missing nothing. Do I think it was like, oh my God, it needs to be banned from YouTube? I mean, YouTube needs to be banned from Netflix? Not really. Not really. Because the actual premise of the name was a dance group that they created, listening to the music of the music of this age that they listen to. So they created these dance routines from watching, and so on and so forth. It happened. Let me see what you say. You made me see a brighter side regarding Andrew Gillum. Oh, okay. Well, well. You're welcome. You're welcome. Even though he committed career suicide. Well, I don't think necessarily he committed career suicide, but I do think he misstepped, and he misstepped in the sense of, again, we always think that we have ascended somewhere beyond reproach when dealing with the others, and we kind of aren't on the defense, and we kind of lose that sense of defense, protection, always be ready for anything they may throw at us, because we get so comfortable in their circles that we kind of lose sight of what's going on. And I think Gillum is an example of that. He lost, he got comfortable in those circles and thought, I'm rolling with the big dogs, without realizing that the whole time you rolling with them, they're setting you up, player. They set you up. And it is what it is. So for that part, yeah, you played a part in that. So, but is it redeemable? Yeah, of course it's redeemable. But we have to then stick by him and help him as much as we can. Just like they hold their president from all the salacious and scandalous things he's done. I'm sure he's done a couple bumps and some booger sugar, shot some stuff up his arm or up his butt, pissed on a couple girls. I'm sure he's done a lot of stuff, this president. But you see how they protect him and what gets said about him and all those things, even if they know it to be true. And we have to start doing the same thing for our people too. I mean, you do it for your pastors, so why not do it for your public officials that are Black? Don't mean you got to agree with it. It just means, you got to kind of. Oh, that would be good. Harry Belafonte and John Mathis, that might be good. He's a good one. What did you think about Rudy Giuliani meeting with the Russian spy? What don't I think about it? They've been Rudy got Rudy can't hold water, as my mother used to say. Rudy can't hold water. He just can't. So eventually Rudy was going to tell on himself. And personally, I think Rudy acts like he has a slip of the tongue or a little forgetfulness, or he just has diarrhea of the mouth, but he does it on purpose because he wanted to be in the cabinet and Trump didn't pick him. So, but he still continues to do the president's dirty work for whatever reason, be it money or whatever, but he still does it. But I think he wishes he would have got picked for something. I think that Andrew Gillum can survive this. It all depends on what his wife does. Yeah, it really does. I mean, it depends on what his wife does, and it depends on what they do moving forward. I mean, I do believe that he could still survive it if they wind up separating and maybe co-parenting, but he has to live in his truth. He has to accept who he is. And that's all of him, not just part of him, but all of him. He has to learn to accept that. And we have to, as a people, learn to embrace that which is him. And that's it. We cannot get so caught up in other people wanting to be with who they want to love because it has something to do with, they can't procreate. What? Listen. We were brought here to procreate, to breed more people, to build other structures. Like, let's be very clear. We were not brought here for some, here's a vacation away from home and you could build your own land here. No, we were not brought here on those pretenses. So when we sit here and act like, we were brought here on some different kind of pretenses, and do you well, you don't procreate. Okay, so how about the people who cannot have children? And they've tried for years and years and years. Are they non-existent too? Do they not matter? They matter as well. Like they matter. There's adoption. There's a whole bunch of other options and opportunities available to people. So let's not get caught up in the fact that two people who deeply love each other and want to start whatever kind of family they choose to have can't be successful in that manner. It doesn't have anything to do with that. I think, again, we need to learn how to respectfully respect his decision, respect her decision. But as far as his policies and what he can do for the community at large should be far more important than who he's sleeping with. Do you think we will get a second stimulus check? You might. I think maybe you might. It all depends on what the polls are looking like towards the towards the wind down towards this election. Because again, that's their thinking. They're thinking that if whatever they give you will then increase your chances of voting for them. Even when they talked about recently how the Hispanic vote was really looking favorable in Trump's eyes in places down in Florida and Texas and so on and so forth. And I was, wondering like, okay, this could be just some news vomit to make people worried about the upcoming election, because they do that. The media plays a part in that. However, at the same time, though, it makes you think like, wow, you really think that less of people of color that you would even subject your own people getting deported and sent back to their country for this? Like, that's crazy. That's really crazy to me. Hey, Jess, how you doing? Hey, what's going on? Nice to see you. So that I find it to be a bit crazy. Yeah, you think they're not going to do it? They're dragging their feet. Yeah, possibly. But at the end of the day, too, we need to be very honest that the stimulus check or even a second one has really nothing to do with them. They've already collected their money. They have collected that PPP money. They have collected, the millions from that. They've gotten a nice little stimulus, plus whatever benefits they've gotten from the tax cut. They have gotten a lot of money. They're just cracking down on some people who have taken from this the payroll protection program. But overall, a lot of these big businesses have already cashed big time, and I mean millions of dollars on a lot of these funds. So when they say second stimulus and they go, oh, well, this will really promote small businesses and help them stay afloat, there's still another $130 million left in the first one. So what's happening with that money? That's the issue. That's the concern for me. It's like you asking all these questions about a second stimulus, but there's still more first stimulus money just sitting, that if you're not going to actually give it to those businesses, then you need to be giving it to the people or something. Because I'm sure you didn't think that one stimulus check was going to be enough. Here we are in month 7 for some, month 8 for some too. I think it's ridiculous. I do believe in the polls on P-Valley. I have not watched P-Valley. I gotta check it out. I heard it's a good show. I do have to check it out. But I have not watched it. But yeah, I don't really follow polls too much. I mean, it's nice to see if Biden is leading, blah 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 in this state and that state. But I wouldn't even take too much stock in it. They were saying the same thing about Hillary, and you see what happened. So, either white people can say, hey, yeah, I voted for Trump that first time. Sorry, my bad. I just thought he was really going to do something different. Or I agreed with him, period. And he showed me something different after he didn't bother taking care of me, and you switched, whatever. But I just hope that people do actually show up and vote, and stay in line if you have to take off for the rest of the day. If you have to vote early, please. That's what I definitely ask you to do. Because in early voting, usually the polls are open on the weekends. So those of us who work Monday through Friday and you don't really have a day that you can actually take off to vote, when you vote early, find out where you can vote early in your particular state. They usually do weekend voting, so you can vote on a Saturday or a Sunday. Um, they have moved a lot of the polling places, because I know here they used to do early voting at a senior citizen center. I am not sure if they're going to do that again this go around with the COVID, so I have to double check with that. But yeah, my suggestion is, if you can, to vote early. If you have requested a mail-in ballot and it has not come in yet, please don't wait too late for it to come in. Or if it does come in, kind of send it out or drop it off at a ballot box as soon as possible, because of the onslaught with uh, the mail right now, that they are trying to crack down on. That even so, that the postal police agency has sued the postmaster general, because even they deal with fraudulent and people picking up packages and all types of other criminal activity that is done through the mail, that even they have been forced to cut back due to these changes that the Joy has made. So everybody's kind of feeling it, and the damage is already done. Even if these things uh, would be re-implemented, the damage for a lot of this has already been done. They're still counting ballots for an election that happened in New Jersey right now, that they just found extra ballots, and that primary has been over for months. So just imagine what's going to happen. It's going to be an onslaught of confusion and chaos, and that's why he's spewing and sowing all of this doubt and stuff in the election system. It's the same thing, if any of you were following, even in 2016, when he thought he was going to lose, because of course all the polls were saying towards election day that Hillary was going to win. He kept saying, hey, if I lose, know that it was rigged. If I lose, know that it was rigged. So that's just to put it out there. So instantly, if he lost, he could say he got cheated. And it's the same thing here. He's going to constantly keep saying that, because he knows that there may be a possibility, if people actually show up, if they just look at the numbers, we're at 196,000 people dead from COVID. We're at 6 million people with COVID. Even knowing how much of a kind of make it or break it moment this was going to be on his presidency, he still chose to not cause panic. But how could you not cause panic by informing the people, like, hey, China has this deadly disease that could be making its way here, but we're going to send a team of scientists and stuff to kind of see what they can learn, so we can better protect our people. I mean, everybody else had done it. You had Canada, who's done it. They have had infections, but no deaths. But we're stuck with a moron who, believes something really is true, behind closed doors, but will sit here and lie to your face so he doesn't look bad. And it makes him look strong and defiant in the eyes of the people that glorify him. But, and these are the same people that told themselves to be toe tapping, Bible carrying Christians. It's like, come on, make it. I'll wait, because it don't make sense to me. Don't make sense to me. Or one arm you could sit there and hold the Bible, the next hand you could sit there and burn a cross in front of somebody's yard. Like, come the hell on. Like, we can't be serious. And again, that's where people start using Christianity as a tool to suppress people. And they even use it, like I've said earlier, in the black church. You got, more black people up in arms about other black people sleeping with who they choose to sleep with, when the pastor, him or herself, is sleeping with everybody in the goddamn congregation and having kids by their parishioners. But all that's okay. As long as you're not sleeping with another man. That's all that we care about. Come on. Like, get over yourselves. Please, get over yourselves. Uh, let's see. Uh, check your email and make sure you receive your request. They're giving out confirmations. Yeah, please do. Please make sure you are checking your emails. Make sure you're not answering or opening some strange emails because, to be very frank, Facebook is with the shits too. So they have been receiving money from Russians to put out propaganda and things of that nature, with knowing knowledge of what it was doing or what their purpose was, but they were there to collect the money because again they've made a lot of money from this administration, from the lack of regulations, just like a lot of the chemical plants have made a lot of money from the lack of regulations, environmental regulations, where they can pour their toxins back into the water. um, you know Facebook has made tons with the hate speech, uh, with the misinformation that they claim now that they're going to try and protect and better clean up. Even as far as TikTok, the only reason why the president was so gun ho, you would ask, well, what concern would he have with TikTok that he is so angry with? He's more angry with TikTok and wanted to get rid of TikTok because of all the little funny TikToks they were making fun of about him. So that's the only reason, no other reason. He could claim that, oh, it was because it was made in China and all the other stuff about China, but you're talking about the same Chinese government that gave your daughter, licenses to sell her products. Yeah, that China, same China, ain't nothing changed. So they good enough to make you money, but they can't make money themselves. Okay, great, that makes sense. Yeah, of course that makes sense. What'd you say? I don't blame Trump for the way he is. It's his personality disorder. I blame his cult supporters. Yeah, I mean, it is his personality disorder, but it's our fault too for allowing it to happen. You come from someone that you had a presidency as Barack Obama to that. I mean, that's extreme. You went from one extreme to the next. Like that doesn't make any sense to me. That we need to be responsible for. And there's no need for anybody to sit here and be like, well, no excuse. Hey, brother Nate, I will check out your sexuality in the church segment. I have to catch it on the replay, brother, but I will be definitely checking it out because I saw it this morning in your preview, and I thought it was going to be very interesting. So I will be on the replay to check it out. So I didn't forget about you. But yeah, I just think at this point it's like it is what it is. There's nothing he can show. We know that he has dealings financially with the United Emirates. We know that he has financial dealings and situations with Israel due to his connection through Jared Kushner and their family. So it's like, all these things that he does to try and look statesman, see like, oh, he's such a statesman. How? It's a deal. There's some undercover hush money things going on. So I'm not, you know. Oh yeah, I know it's a series. I know. I remember I watched the thing. It's you said a 3 to 4 part series or something like that. So I don't want to fall too far behind in the series, and then I got to watch them all at one time to kind of catch up. So I just want to make sure I stay on top of it. That's all. Meghan McCain is voting for him, and Trump was talking about her dad. But see, that's the thing. Like she'll talk so badly about how he talks about her father on air, but you're actually not that saddened by it because you're going to turn around and vote for him anyway. So then, what's the argument? Like, what is the argument? It makes no sense. Yep. Oh, okay. Oh, all right. I mean, a lot of that has happened. Unfortunately, a lot of that has happened. All right, you guys, I have been here long enough, but I am going to say good night. It's been fun as always. Hopefully, you guys have learned a lot because I have. And yeah, my cup is low, and that means it's about time to go on about life and have a great night. Thanks once up, you guys. It's always a pleasure, always great to see you all. I hope you guys have a great evening. Please remember that the gentlemen's panel will be on Rebel Sun's page on Thursday. So that's Rebel Sun's platform on this Thursday at 7:45 Eastern, 6:45 Central, and wherever else you are on the West Coast. I believe that's like 5 something or 4 something, however that works. But yeah, so that's where the gentleman's panel will be. Please make sure you are there. And with that, I guess you guys have a great night. It's been real. Peace and love. I'm out.